Statistics show that young men are more likely to commit crimes, become incarcerated, and less likely to enroll in college than their female counterparts. Dr. Paul Phillips founded the Better Man Than Me Foundation to change these statistics by building better communities through investing in the lives of young men. And thousands of young men's lives have been changed so far. Good to have you with us today, sir.
Thank you for having me.
And powerful ministry. Let's talk a little bit about how and why you got involved in this kind of mentoring ministry to young men.
Sure. Well, I myself is a product of mentoring. I came from very humble beginnings. I was raised by a single mom, and so we struggled a little bit. But my mom had the wisdom to put me around productive, godly men, and I was blessed as a result of that. So when I became an adult, I wanted to do the same thing.
Yeah. And born and raised in Chicago.
Yes.
Chicago, unfortunately, in the headlines for really the wrong reasons, so to speak, with tremendous rates of violence and crime. And tell us a little bit about the city and the culture itself, because it really is, in one way, a look into a lot of things that are going wrong in a lot of parts of the United States.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of positive things happening, but there are some issues. There's a lot of unemployment among young men, and a lot of young men that are not finishing high school. So that's the reason for, in my personal opinion, the reason for a lot of the violence there. There's just hopelessness in a lot of the areas, not everywhere, but in certain areas of the community there. And the young men just feel really lost. So we try to give them opportunities and help them find their way.
So the name of your foundation is Better Man Than Me.
Yes.
I was reading your information. You have a degree in accounting. You have an MBA.
Yes.
You've taught at universities, and you're telling these young men you want them to be better than what you've accomplished. Where did the name come from?
Yeah, I get that question all the time. Well, I have 2 daughters, no sons. I have 3 sisters, no brothers, but I have a lot of nephews. And I've been mentoring young men for about 30 years. And I used to always tell them, I want you to be better than I am. I firmly believe that every generation should be better. And I would always tell them, be better. And I know that's not grammatically correct, but be better than me. Be a better man than me. So when we started the organization almost 6 years ago, it was natural to use that name.
Okay, so what do you do? I mean, on a daily basis, how do you impact these young men's lives?
Absolutely. Well, we do mentoring a couple times a month, but on a daily basis, I reach out to the young men, and more importantly, they reach out to me, really, via text, when they're in trouble, their grandmothers, their mothers, because unfortunately it's usually young men that are raised by single moms and what have you. But we talk with them, and we talk to them about a lot of different things, conflict resolution, and how to practice self-control. We help them get jobs. We've even been to court with them many times when the young men have gotten in trouble. So in any way possible, we try to help the young man succeed.
And what are some of the success stories that you've seen among the thousands of young men that your organization's been able to reach?
Yeah, well, I have a young man that I talk about quite often. His name is Jordan. This young man came to me after 3 years in prison. He has 5 felonies, and he just struggled. And so his mother wanted me to be his mentor. So we took him under our wings, and we spent a lot of time with him. And one of the things he struggled with is getting a job. Being a felon, it's hard to get a job. So we would work with him. There are many times he would call me. I remember one call specifically, he called, and he was very honest with me because we have a very good relationship. And he said, well, Paul, if I don't get a job soon, I'm going back to selling drugs. And so we had to counsel him through that. That young man now is traveling the country, has a very good job. He's working as a chemist, and he's doing really great. And he's in the process of buying his mom a home. Then he'll buy himself a home. So he's been really successful, and I'm very proud of him.
And when it comes to the change that takes place, how would you quantify that, or say, what is it that causes an individual's heart to really turn from what they are used to something that's maybe new and risky, and they're unsure of what it may hold for them?
Yeah, I find that it takes for a person to come to themselves. The scripture lets us know the prodigal son came to himself. and that's when he decided to return to his father's home. And working with these young men, it's the same thing. We could talk, and I talk with them, but when they finally come to themselves is when their ear is open and they're hungry to hear. And so it takes time. And I've seen a lot of young men progress slowly, some faster than others. But we try to plant a seed every day and give them advice, godly advice, to get them to where they need to be.
Would you say that this is correct, Dr. Phillips, that, we can pour all of the government money, we can put government in, we can do all of those things, but unless we have Jesus, we factor him into the equation, we won't see the change that we're hoping to see just by sending in the federal government into Chicago especially?
I totally agree. I totally agree. Jesus is the answer, and we missed it many times. I do believe we need the government, and we need funding, and we need fathers to come back home, but we need to turn back to God. The scripture lets us know when we turn back to God and turn away from sin, that's when God will heal the land. And that's what we really need with these young men. And what I try to do with the young men, we don't preach to them. Although we're faith-based, we don't preach to them. We try to give them sound advice, but we also try to live a godly life in front of them so they can learn by example.
So there's funding, there's fathers, and obviously faith.
I love it.
To see that,
Yes.
that change take place.
Absolutely.
Now, it's not just in the Chicagoland area that Better Man Than Me Foundation is operating. So where have you seen the Lord leading you, and what do you really hope to happen in the next few years?
Yeah, we've been all over the Chicagoland area. We've been down to Rantoul, Illinois, which is where the Lincoln Challenge Academy is. We've called down there many times to facilitate mentoring sessions there. Just this past weekend, we were in Lansing, Illinois. We've been in Aurora, Illinois. So we go where we're needed. And we really our goal is to reach as many young men as possible. Over the past 6 years, we've been able to touch the lives of over 4,000 young men.
Wow.
So in many different ways. So, wherever the need is and wherever we can help, we go.
And is there an openness in the schools and the different public institutions to bring in a group like Better Man Than Me Foundation?
Yeah, actually, our first mentoring program was in a elementary school, a Chicago public school on the south side of Chicago, and we did a 10-week session there, 400 young men, 8th grade and under. So we've been in many different schools. We're in a high school now in Lansing, Illinois. So we've been received very well by the school system.
Now, I know you work with young men, but what about girls, teenage girls, from elementary to teenage years? What are you doing to reach them? Because I think I read a statistic that you had been reaching several hundred young women as well.
That's correct. When we first started, we would get that question, what about the girls? What about the girls? So we do have the opportunity. Every summer, we work with a program called Summer Advantage, and where we bring in female mentors. So we will mentor the young men, but every summer, we mentor approximately 100 young ladies as well in the high school age, if you will. So we've been able to work with them as well. And again, we partner with other organizations that have female mentors, and we bring them in to do that work.
We've just got about a minute left, Dr. Phillips. Tell us about Dominate. That's a resource that you're putting out.
Yeah, absolutely. We just created it's a rap song, and we did it because we work with young men and they like to rap. And the whole
Is it good?
It's good. It's good. It's on iTunes now. It's an awesome song. There's no profanity. It's all about dominating in life. The scripture lets us know in Genesis, the 1st chapter, in the 26th verse, that God commanded us to take dominion. And that's what we try to teach our young men. Dominate in school, dominate on the job, dominate in your careers. Don't dominate other people, but dominate your challenges. Yes.
Wonderful. And for folks to connect and maybe find out more about what you're doing, how can they do that?
Yeah, you can go to our website, www.bettermanthanme.org, and we're also on Facebook all the time.
Wonderful. Good to have you with us today, Dr. Paul Phillips. To connect with Dr. Phillips, you can go to bettermanthanme.org or go to our website, harvest-tv.com, and find out more information. We'll be right back in just a moment with Brian Bush.